welcome to Stonewatch. This is the Retro Rewatch. And today we're talking about 2004's The Butterfly Effect. And if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button and click on that bell so you can notify for future videos. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And yes, after getting a recommendation from a friend on Twitter, of all places, I went to go check out 2004's The Butterfly Effect, starring Ashton Kutcher. Now, technically, this is not a rewatch, because this is like the first time I ever saw this movie, but this movie is almost 20 years old, so it kind of falls in the category of the series and stuff like that, even though this was my first time actually ever watching this movie. Now, I have to say, I thought this movie was alright. I mean, it wasn't like the best movie I ever saw, but I thought the story was kind of interesting. I liked all the characters and everything, but I have to say, no matter as much as I can say it, I thought this movie was actually pretty good. It's just the movie sucks because why? They killed the dog. I mean, I don't care. And I guess eventually you find out that the dog does kind of survive, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's just when that first happened at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, oh man, what the hell is this? I'm like, what the? I hate when the dog dies in the movie. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't like that. And eventually, I guess the dog survives. I guess, even though it was kind of weird because when they had the whole dog thing. I remember even seeing the dog before that even happened. You know what I mean? So it's like, where did that dog come from? Anyway, but I did think that the story was pretty good. I thought Ashton Kutcher was pretty good in this movie. Now, I'm not saying he's like the best actor. I mean, I liked him on the 70s show. You know, the Dude, Where's My Car? That was a kind of like a funny movie. You know, and I think there's a couple other... I haven't really seen most of his work other than the 70s show was like the most. He was all right in this. You know, I thought like the whole time travel thing was kind of interesting and how it worked. And I liked how they swung it back around at the very end and tied it into the dad. I thought that was pretty interesting. But then I was like, when I was doing the information section of the video, I was kind of bummed to find out that they didn't honor that going on into the sequels that this movie actually generated, which I thought that was kind of amazing that it actually did. But, you know what I mean? And then it was really cool to see Elden Henson in this movie, you know, AAK Foggie Nelson. Now, I hope they bring him back in the new Daredevil series that they're going to have on Disney Plus here for Phase 5 or whatever, you know. I'm hoping they bring him back. I love that character, man. Bring Foggie back to the MCU, man. You know what I'm saying? But that's a topic for a whole nother video. Now, I mean, I thought the concept was pretty interesting. Like, if you could go back and change one thing in your past and it was just like the ricochet effect and like, what you know, that would change everything. I mean, because everybody's got those moments where you're like, if I would have done this, things would have been different. And it's true when you see in this thing, you know, it didn't actually always pan out the way you want. And you keep going back until you get it right. I mean, unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? The Butterfly Effect is a 2004 American science fiction thriller film written and directed by Eric Bress and Mackye Gruber. The title refers to the butterfly effect. In the film, Kutcher plays a 20-year-old college student, Evan Treborn, who experiences blackout and memory loss throughout his childhood. Later in his 20s, Evan finds he can travel back in time to inhabit his former self during these periods of blackout. With his adult mind inhabiting his younger body, he attempts to change the present by changing his past behaviors and set things right for himself and his friends, but there are unintended consequences for all. The film draws heavily on the flashbacks of the characters' lives at the age 7 and 13, and the present several alternative present-day outcomes as Evan attempts to change the past before settling on the final outcome. The Butterfly Effect, even though it had poor critic reception, won the Pegasus Audience Award at the Brussels International Fantastic Film Festival and was nominated for the Best Science Fiction Film at the Saturn Awards and Teen Choice Thriller in the Teen Choice Awards. Despite the critics, the film was a commercial success, earning little over $17 million and claiming the #1 spot in its opening weekend against a $13 million budget. Then went on to gross little over $57.9 million at the U.S. box office and a $96 million worldwide. The film did go on to receive 2 sequels, the first one being The Butterfly Effect 2, which was released on DVD on October 10th of 2006 and was directed by John R. Leone and was largely unrelated to the original film. It features brief reference to the first film in the form of a newspaper headline referring to Evan's father, as well as using the same basic time travel mechanics. It received negative reception from the real film reviews, which called an abominable, pointless sequel. The third installment in the series, Butterfly Effect 3 Revelations, directed by Seth Grossman, was released on After Dark Films in 2009. This sequel follows the life of a young man who journeys back in time in order to solve the mystery surrounding his high school girlfriend's death. This film has no direct relation to the first two and uses different time travel mechanics. Real Film Reviews characterized the third installment as a very mild improvement over the unwatchable Butterfly Effect 2. Starring in this movie, Ashton Kutcher, Amy Smart, Eric Stoltz, William Lee Scott, Elden Henson, Logan Lerman, Ethan Suplee, and Melora Walters, just to name a few. Now, currently, the Butterfly Effect is sitting with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 34%, with 172 top critics reporting in. Now, the last one to do a review for this movie was in last January of 2022, and he liked it. Kind of. He was like 3 out of 5 stars, whatever, however that works. But over on the audience side, they had a score of 81% out of 250,000 plus fans telling you what they think. Now, the last fan to do a review of this movie, other than my video right now, he didn't like it. I mean, he didn't like this movie at all. Now, again, once you like dispel your disbelief on like the basic story of this movie, it's actually pretty interesting in how it unfolds, and like every time he would go back and just tweak one little thing, and the ripple effect was like kind of interesting. Like, whoa, I didn't really see how that would like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, especially at the very end when he did give like that piece of metal shard thing to Foggie Nelson's character, whatever, as a kid, and then he was supposed to cut the bag with the thing. That's what he was supposed to do with it, and because the other kid let the dog out of the bag, his solution was to stab the kid. That was a jump, right? I mean, that was actually something else. Again, this movie was not really all that bad. Now, it's kind of amazing how they sit there and say that this, the budget was $13 million and it made $96 million at the box office. Now, in today's standard, that's not, I mean, yeah, it made money, but I don't know what the marketing budget was, so I don't know. I mean, did have 2 sequels, but the one sequel went straight to DVD, and the third one did have some kind of a theatrical release that made almost like a little over $700,000. Woo! So, and I don't know, just reading the description of those 2 movies, I don't know if I really want to actually go see those, even though I kind of like this one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe, who knows? So all in all I can say is it was all right. Now, if you can catch this thing on one of your streaming services that you're already paying for, I say go for it. I wouldn't probably, I mean, that's what I did. I saw it was on HBO Max. I already have a subscription, so, and I think the other one is on there too, but again, I don't know if I'm actually going to bother to go watch the second one, even though because it says it barely even ties into the first one, so why would you see a sequel to a movie that does not acknowledge what happened beforehand? It'd be like, I'm not going to go there. Never mind. But anyway, so if you see 2004's The Butterfly Effect starring Ashton Kutcher, let me know in the comments down below. Did you like this movie? Let me know in the comments down below. And did you see any of the sequels? Let me know in the comments down below. I mean, the basic story of this movie was all right. I mean, again, I didn't pay for it. I already had the subscription to HBO Max, so I didn't really, all it cost me was the time. And if it wasn't for the whole thing with the dog dying thing, I probably would have enjoyed this movie a lot more. That really ruined the movie for me. I'm sorry. Even though he kind of survives, but and I know I can't let it go. So let me know what you think in the comments down below.